So now I'd like to introduce you to our presenter, Katie Wirth. Katie is currently an Assistant Director of Business Development and has served as the Commercial Accounts Manager for the GP Strategies Enterprise Technology Solutions team. In addition to her experience as Project Manager, LMS Consultant, Trainer, and LMS Subject Matter Expert in her tenure at GP Strategies. Since joining us in 2005, she has been responsible for LMS implementation and support, providing knowledge and experience in project management, business process mapping, system design and configuration, LMS best practices, and post-implementation support. She has an MBA in management and a BS in business management with a minor in management information systems. So with that, Katie, I am going to turn the presenter rights over to you.
Thank you very much. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar. As Kaylee just described, today we're going to talk about why learning should be the driving force in your 2015 talent management strategy. The topics that I'll go through today are current trends in the industry so we can understand what's shaping what we're doing. I'll go through 3 best practices on how you can leverage your LMS and leverage your learning strategy this year. One of those will be social learning, so I'll expand upon that a little bit. And then we can wrap up with key takeaways and Q&A. Innovation in core HR has resulted in world-class talent management solutions being available today. Organizations are increasing the adoption and integration of the available talent management modules that these product suites offer. This is because executives are looking for efficiencies and alignment across their business. They want a single vendor to provide all of the talent management modules that they're trying to put in place, and they want it in a system. They don't want things to be manual anymore. So this is increasing the importance of integrating talent management with core HR. Here you can see some of the key strategy and objectives within talent management organizations. External enablement, talent development, and compliance are just some of the main objectives that organizations are seeking to address. Each of these leads to more specific goals, and it results in a better workforce. You'll have motivated employees, you'll have employees that feel enabled and that want to stay with your company, and you'll be meeting compliance and regulatory requirements and making sure that your employees have the certifications that they need. In addition to all of these different things that are shaping talent management, employees in today's workforce, especially the millennials, have different values than in the past. They want learning opportunities, they want an opportunity to grow, and they want collaboration. To meet their needs, it's critical for organizations to determine the right way to support their employees and provide them with what they need within the overall talent management strategy of the company. Even Gartner has seen the shift as far as talent management strategy goes. They haven't provided a magic quadrant for corporate learning systems since 2011. Instead, they look holistically at talent management, which includes learning, and they plot the leaders in the marketplace based on the entire suite. While the goals of organizations certainly span across all talent management areas, learning continues to be the leader. It still has the strongest influence. It acts as a key connection point for talent management and all related processes by linking training with performance objectives or enabling employees as part of a formal succession plan. Learning is truly the engine that drives all other talent management processes, and because of it, it's important that leaders within learning and training organizations ensure that LMS gets the focus that it needs. And even notwithstanding the talent management suites that are rising to the top, there's still a large market for just the LMS alone. Perhaps the biggest fuel for this is the tremendous need for skill development around the world, the explosion of MOOCs, and then the high demand for certification and professional, technical, and managerial development within companies. Learning drives all of that. And this graph certainly highlights the increased use of a formal LMS, but so much learning takes place outside of an LMS as well, and that is still part of your learning strategy. Between the formal and informal opportunities, learning can be such a huge part of your talent management, and it must be positioned as the cornerstone. It's critical for any training organization to make the LMS the centerpiece. And again, it can just be learning. It doesn't necessarily have to be an LMS. learning just touches so much of the talent process. And here in this diagram, you can clearly see how it touches everything. If your learning is strong and well-aligned, the success of learning will spread across to all of the other modules within your talent management strategy. And even outside of that, you have the outside wheel, which is involved in everything, and that's mobile, analytics, and social, which also need to be considered, which also are greatly impacted by learning. With all that, now I'm going to launch into a little bit of what I feel are the best practices on how you can leverage learning this year. I kept it to 3, and I'm going to dive a little deeper into each one. The first one is that you've got to find a way to incorporate learning into all aspects of your talent management strategy. And beyond just incorporating it, you've got to use it. Even if you don't have a full talent management suite or having it formally integrated your LMS with any other talent management modules, it doesn't mean you can't still utilize learning to support the complete employee life cycle. You can touch every aspect of an employee engagement. You just have to get creative. From recruiting through succession and transition, learning can provide tools for candidates and employees to meet their engagement needs. I know sometimes it can be hard to think about how you can use an enterprise LMS to certain parts of the talent management processes, but it can be done. I'm seeing it done. Companies are using learning as part of their recruitment and talent acquisition. They can use it to shortlist candidates and have a seamless selection process. Some are even creating learning initiatives where it mimics the environment that this candidate would be working in. And if the candidate doesn't like it, doesn't feel comfortable in that virtual office environment while learning and going through the recruitment process, those candidates may drop out. It's an easy way to make sure that the culture is the right fit for employees before they even come on. Onboarding also has become streamlined and automated when curricula and new hire training programs are provided pretty much in a self-service process, and the employee can get in there and do things themselves. They're not sitting in a small conference room waiting for someone from HR to give them paperwork to do. Performance goals are very easily accomplished with learning when you can line up competencies and skills with the learning and the education that the employees need to obtain, and it can drive that annual performance process and make it very tailored and relevant to the employee. Gamification can be used within learning, and it can inspire and drive interaction in a rewards and compensation style learning environment. And then towards the end of an employee life cycle, when you talk about succession and transition, you can use learning to get the next generation of leaders ready. You can develop the successors and ensure the transition of the workforce is smooth from one generation to the next. The second best practice that is so easily overlooked is that you need to start with process before you implement any type of strategy or initiative. Too often the momentum that comes with moving forward on a new initiative for a learning strategy can result in all of the planning steps being skipped, or even some of the really key planning steps. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new initiative or a system that's going to make your business better, and a lot of times you jump right into that upgrade or migration or integration. But if you don't lay out the foundation for processes, you can cause misalignment, which may not be obvious from the start, or it may be. Either way, you will have lack of governance down the road. You need to make sure you have the right structure in place for processes and governance so that everything can be running efficiently from day one. It's so often assumed that within an organization, everyone understands the processes and everyone knows. And you always have a few people who know a little bit about every process, and then you have people who are experts on 2 or 3 processes, and they can really know those inside and out. But very rarely do all of the important stakeholders and people involved have a complete understanding of all processes, how they overlap, how they cross over, and how they run your end-to-end talent management objectives. Make sure that you detail your procedures and policies and get those processes documented so that they are followed. And then lastly, make sure you have a good governance strategy in place. All the companies that I've worked with over the years say that they've got governance, and they do, but there's always a little bit missing. There's so many things that you have to consider to make sure that you're touching on all the different aspects of governance. Create an enterprise core model that can be leveraged through deployment. Determine areas of the system that will be centrally administered, what will be decentralized. Establish security roles and permissions to support whatever strategy you have in place. Define stakeholder communication mechanisms. Who's going to be communicated to? What will that communication look like? Identify and promote best practices and common methods. Who makes that decision? Who can be the sounding board of configuration changes that need to be made? Define the overall support structure and establish the process for handling any requests that come through and long-term support. One of the benefits of a governance structure is you'll be able to make quicker decisions for how the system will be handled. If you have this in place, it will make sure that your learning is solid, your system and all processes related to it are in a good state, and it will result in a better end-user experience for your entire workforce. And lastly, my most important best practice here is related to social learning. You've got to make learning social. There's so much attention paid to formal talent management processes, but social learning is one of the most powerful tools that you can utilize when engagement and performance improvement are the goals. There's a major shift in the industry from consumption of information to participatory learning. Learning happens best when it's rich in social connections, especially when it's peer-based and it's organized around the learner's interests. It makes it relevant to them. It enables them to create as well as consume that information. Social learning, in its most basic definition, is learning from the people around you, and it's what you do all day. People have always learned best from one another, and social learning enables that to happen. The use of social learning removes restrictions such as physical location, and it allows learning to happen in such creative ways. Supports a dispersed workforce, and it also supports differences in learning styles, particularly across the generations that we're seeing in the workforce these days. Social learning puts learning directly into the hands of the learners. When executed successfully, learners won't even realize that they're learning, even though the result of the interaction with the social learning offering will leave them armed with new information and skills. Blogs, videos, collaboration tools, social media like Yammer and Twitter, learning can be engaging and relevant to an individual when they need it, and all of those tools can be used to provide learning to your workforce. People learn from networks, and they learn from each other. You need to find ways to engage and connect your workforce. Providing an informal learning environment also supports the needs of younger generations entering the workforce. They have expectations around flexibility and interaction. By 2020, there will be 5 different generations in the workforce, and the leaders will be the millennials. The workplace of tomorrow is being shaped today. Don't wait until then. Don't wait too long to provide the right tools and technologies to attract, develop, and engage employees across all generations. One of these really key technologies obviously is social learning. Just to briefly wrap up this very short webinar, the 3 key takeaways I have are the 3 best practices that I just discussed. You need to determine how learning can be incorporated into all aspects of your talent management strategy and apply it. You need to make sure your processes are defined, aligned, and accurate before doing any major integration or advancement in your talent management strategy, and make sure that governance is strong. And then lastly, leverage social learning. It is the next big thing, and it puts learning into the hands of your learners, and that's where they want it. So after hearing all of this, I want you to consider your 2015 talent management strategy. Is the LMS the centerpiece? Is it shaping the decisions being made? Are you integrating it across your employee life cycle? If your answer is no, you may want to see how you can leverage your learning strategy so that it can provide the best value for your organization. That just about does it for me.
Great, thanks Katie. Thanks for that. I know it's a lot of information that we cover in these short webinars, and so we appreciate Katie for condensing it down for us. And we do have a few minutes left to open it up for questions. So just as a reminder, if you do have a question for Katie, be sure to enter it in the Q&A module at this time. We have had a few come in during the session. She did cover a lot in a short amount of time, and since there is still more information to discuss, we encourage you to continue the conversation with her beyond today's webinar. Her contact information is available on this slide deck, and we will be sending everybody a link to a follow-up blog post where she'll address some of today's key takeaways and any questions that were asked. And I'd also like to remind everybody that the recordings and the slides from today will be sent to the email address that you provided. So I'll go ahead and get to these questions, Katie. I'm going to start filtering them your way. The first one is, if all I have is learning but want to start expanding to other talent modules, what do you recommend or what do you feel is the best thing to implement next?
That's a very good question. I've seen a lot of different strategies there, but based on the strengths of the different talent management modules that are available, performance and goals seems to line up the best with learning. It allows just such a good experience for the learners or the end users' performance review process and being able to align goals with ways that they can achieve the goals through learning. So I do recommend performance and goals as the next one to bite into. Succession is also very helpful because if you have a succession plan in place and you want to see if successors are ready to take that leap, if a job opening is available, you want to make sure that they're prepared. And again, you can give them that learning opportunity if you link learning with succession.
Great. The next question is, do you have suggestions of companies or LMS vendors who offer interactive learning content? This person is trying to offer run-of-the-mill content but is not having luck identifying suppliers.
Well, that's a great question because GP Strategies has a huge content development organization. We actually have multiple groups within GP Strategies that develop custom content. And I can see that if you want run-of-the-mill, there are companies like Skillsoft that provide very standard, uncustomized content. But you can find companies like GP Strategies that can do custom content for you, and it can be very catered to you and any specific topics that need to be addressed. And I can provide more information in the follow-up Q&A to this as far as other vendors to consider.
Sounds good. And as we mentioned earlier, that blog post will be included either in the follow-up email or we'll make sure to send that blog post to everybody on the call. So there's one last question that came in. If anyone else does have a question, be sure to enter that in now. Oh, we had a few more come in. The next one is, how do you get buy-in to purchase an LMS?
Oh, that's a good one. A business case is very helpful. Also, you could do an analysis of your current system and find out what the pain points are and line those pain points up with industry best practices and what major enterprise applications can offer. GP Strategies does this as well. It's something that I've done over the years, and it's how I've learned so much about these different systems by going in and talking to a client about what their current situation is. A lot of clients think that they're okay and they may not know what else is out there, but if you sit down and if you have an expert come in and talk to you about what is available as far as technology goes and how streamlined it can be, we can build a good business case for you. So I would say start with a business case, some type of analysis of what you have today and what you could get from a major enterprise application.
Great. And I know you'll be following up with these in the blog post as well, so it'll give you a little bit more time too to get more in depth. I know we are running on time. We have 1 more minute left, but we will get one more question in, and it is, as a learning provider, how do we change the paradigm of the HR community?
I'm not sure of the context of that question, but I'll try to answer it. I think the learning has to be very flexible to meet all of those different processes of HR, because HR is so much more than talent management. There's so much more that goes into overall human capital management. But if you make sure that your talent management is robust and that you find a way to support the HR processes with learning, you can integrate more and be pretty pervasive there as far as what the learning provider can do in an HR community. I know that's not very specific. This question's kind of broad. I'm not sure how to answer it.
Okay. Well, if there's more, so Greg, if you want to know more about this question, or you feel free to continue the conversation with Katie, we can take this one offline as well, and happy to continue the discussion. So with that, we are just a minute over. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up. So thank you to Katie Wirth for your time and attention today, and also to everyone who joined the call. We hope that you'll join us again for our next webinar on designing and delivering a synergistic learning experience. This will be on May 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For GP Strategies, I'm Kayla Rotz, and I'd like to wish everyone a great day.